So to start us off today, I just have one major announcement. So just one. As you all may know or maybe not know, today is my last luncheon directing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. So, I just want to take just one quick opportunity to just say thank you. With the Chamber of Commerce, one of my favorite quotes that applies to community and Chamber of Commerce is, individually, we are a raindrop. Together, we are an ocean. As a raindrop, you can get lost in the storm, and an ocean will change the world. And I think that really applies to the Chamber of Commerce. And it really applies to everyone here. And that's what I want to say is just thank you so much, everyone here, for pitching into this community and making St. George the ocean or the great special place that is. We all know that something special about St. George. And I think it's because of the people. And I just want to thank everybody for the last 6 years that I've been here, for the friendships that you've shown, and for making this such a great business community and just such a great place to live. So thank you to everyone, and thank you just for making this chamber so great. Thank you. You're too kind. Now get ready to applause again because I want to introduce to you your new president, who I'm sure you already know, but I'd like to invite Pam Palermo to come up.
Thank you. Wow, what are those?
So I got to know Pam just 2 years ago today, and over that time, Pam is one of the most sincere, loving, and hardworking people that I've known in my entire life. And I absolutely love Pam. I'm so excited to pass the gavel off to Pam. Now, this gavel right here is a token that our Chamber Board of Directors gave to me 6 years ago, and just as a token to show the trust to lead the Chamber into the future. And it is with the permission of the Board of the Directors, it is my pleasure to hand this gavel over to Pam, who will be our leader for the next, I don't know how long. So here you go, Pam.
Thank you.
Along with these flowers.
Thank you.
Love you, Pam. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Stay here.
Now turn the time over to Pam.
Stay here. Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you, everyone. Wow. I brought a Kleenex up here for Greg, but I might need it, so we'll try to get through this. I'm really delighted and honored to stand here as the new president of the St. George Area Chamber of Commerce. Greg has done such a fantastic job, as all of you know, in the last 6 years. He's built a great foundation on which I can stand. Our board of directors, our staff, and I are ready to commit to continue to build on his foundation. Greg, this is kind of funny. So, on behalf of the members, our chamber board and staff, thank you for all you've done. Come over here. I feel like I'm back there. Thank you for all you've done, taking this chamber really from destitution 6 years ago and make it such a successful chamber that it is today. It wasn't easy, I'm sure. I wasn't here for all of it, but I know where it stood when he took it over, and he's just done a fantastic job. I've been a part of this chamber now for 2 years, and I've gotten to know Greg too, and I know that he's a sap for nostalgia, history. I know that he also loves this community more than anybody I've ever met. He truly loves this community and the people in it, and he'll continue, I'm sure, to be involved. So because he is such a sap on nostalgia, one of the things that he really loved at the chamber are our logos, looking past our past logos. So we had a remake done of the 1980s logo to present to Greg today.
So awesome.
It's the St. George, Utah's hot spot.
That's cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Wait, do that again.
Okay. Thanks, Nina. That'll be everywhere. Sure.
Cool.
Greg, thank you very much. Please stand again and just give Greg a great applause for everything. Thank you. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you for my flowers. Can you change that over? Wow. I have just a few quick announcements. Mark your calendars. Tuesday next week is our Young Professionals Roundtable Luncheon with Mayor Pike, President Williams, Mark Mortensen, and Zach Renstrom. So if you're a young professional, please make reservations. There's limited space because it will be a talking roundtable, so make sure you make your reservations for that. Our chamber lunch next Wednesday features Ryan Emerson with Nexio, and his topic is responding to personal and work-related stress, which I'm sure none of us have, right? And then Thursday, sign up, come out for karaoke at the Dixie Elks Club. All the information are inside your bulletins that are on the table, so take a look at that. It's time to introduce our newest members to the St. George Area Chamber. Susie and Jimmy, our board chair, can you come up, please?
All right, if you're here, and I think everyone except our first one is here, just come on up. Let me tell you a little bit about our first new member, Hoops Events, Carrie Bunker. Hoops Events offers a range of services from simple day of coordination to detailed planning and logistics, styling, design, and decor. She does, besides weddings, sweet 16 parties, quinceañera parties, graduation corporate parties, bar mitzvahs, and I would assume bat mitzvahs. You can ask her if you're interested. That's Hoops Events. Our next new member, Isogenics Independent Consultant. We'll have George and Mackenzie come up. Isogenics is a no-compromise approach to health and wealth generating opportunities. They have solutions for weight loss, healthy aging, energy, performance, and wealth creation. It's not about dieting or quick fixes, but it's about a balanced life of true health and vitality. Welcome to the chamber. Heather Horton with Make-A-Wish Utah. In the back. Make-A-Wish, every 38 minutes, Make-A-Wish grants the wish of a child diagnosed with life-threatening medical conditions in the United States. Make-A-Wish Utah has granted 171 wishes in the last year, including Katie's wish to go to Hawaii, 6-year-old Josh, who has leukemia, he wanted to be a BYU football player, 13-year-old Ethan has a respiratory condition and he wanted to meet Steph Curry. Make sure you join us at our next Inspiration Luncheon in December, which will feature Make-A-Wish Utah. Thank you, Heather. Susan Potter with Movement Mortgage. I don't think she's here. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They were created in 2008 amidst one of the biggest financial meltdowns in American history. They create a referable experience for both the home buyers and the real estate agents. And their goal is to have a long-term impact on the individual lives of those underserved in our communities. Dr. Park with Rocky Vista University. Come on up. Rocky Vista is a health sciences university. They have top board scores, having among the highest percentage of military students of any civilian medical school, with 100% residency placement rate. They're expanding into southern Utah and will matriculate its first class of 125 osteopathic medical students in July 2017. You can go to their website and watch the construction live. They're not moving a lot right now, though. Might be they're hibernating or something. You got to get on that, Dr. Park.
The really important thing, our daughters play on the Snow Canyon volleyball team together.
There you go, Snow Canyon Volleyball. So the mission of RVU is to provide quality healthcare education while inspiring students to serve with compassion, integrity, and excellence. And we can't wait for the new university. Thank you, Dr. Park. Tina with TJ Clark. Let me tell you a little bit about them. In 1920, Tom Clark was given the gift of health through the discovery of a sacred spring. T.J. Clark and Company is still a family-owned business and is now in the 4th generation, where they share with families of the world the health and opportunity products like liquid vitamins and colloidal minerals. They help contribute to the health and well-being of men, women, and children everywhere. Thank you, Tina. The Cottonwood Group. Sydney, come on up. The Cottonwood Group of Wells Fargo Advisors is a boutique wealth management practice with over 100 years. Whether it's creating a customized asset allocation strategy, developing a plan for retirement, or helping people navigate how to pay for their child's tuition, you should make your first call to the Cottonwood Group of Wells Fargo Advisors. Thank you. All right, Tough Shed. Skylar Davis. Tough Shed does backyard storage sheds, larger commercial storage buildings, garages, and cabin shells. They have, in over 35 years, they have designed, fabricated, and installed more than 900,000 buildings. They do home offices, pool houses, man caves, and they also do hunting cabins and studio recreational buildings right there on your property. They're more than great sheds. Thank you, Skylar. And Peter with Wildland Trekking is here. He looks like a climber and hiker, doesn't he? Right? Look at that. The Wildland Trekking Company offers incredible hiking vacations and amazing destinations. They run base camp, backpacking, and in-based hiking tours in Zion, Bryce, Escalante, Death Valley, and the North Rim. But in 2017, you can join them to one of these exotic locales, such as Patagonia, Nepal, Peru, Ecuador, even the Smoky Mountains.
Did some research.
I did do it's not my first time, Peter. They're hoping to hire 5 to 10 qualified, although you will never find me on one of your treks. Sorry, I'm not a hiker. Nature walks I can do. They hope to hire 5 to 10 qualified local guides, as well as 2 to 3 part-time folks who can help drive shuttles. So if you know someone interested in wildland trekking, give Peter a call today. You can find all the information in these red books on your tables. Thank you. Let me tell you a little bit about InfoWest. They're not a brand new member. They've actually been around since 1994, providing high-speed internet to the area. They're the first to offer high-speed internet in southern Utah, and they now extend to fiber optics, high-speed wireless broadband to homes and businesses. I'm going to turn some time over to Kelly and Randy for an announcement.
Thank you so much for giving us just a minute. And we want to keep this brief. InfoWest has been a member of the Chamber for more than 20 years. And we are so excited for all of the exciting opportunities we've had as members of the Chamber. We're excited to see Pam transition as our new president. And just as a kind of a vote of gratitude and all the things that the Chamber has done for us, we'd like to present the Chamber with a check for $10,000 at this time. And we look forward to many, many more years as members of the Chamber. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Our new building is really getting built. I mean, we're working it. The roof's going on today, and we've got so much, and we couldn't do it without sponsors like InfoWest. Thank you so much for not just this, but all your patronage for so many years. Thank you. Okay, so what'd you come here for? Today you came here to be inspired, and you're going to be inspired today. Our keynote speaker today is Melissa Sevy. She is founder and executive director of Musana International, which is a nonprofit organization, and Fairkind, which is a for-profit social venture, both of which employ and empower female artisans in the developing world by facilitating their entrance into the global market. She has implemented health and community development projects all over Uganda, Rwanda, India, and China. She's spent nearly half of the past 5 years abroad. She is an adjunct instructor at Brigham Young University. She teaches children's dance and is also training for, I believe, her first Ironman. Is that correct? Is that correct? The first Ironman? Help me in welcoming Melissa Sevy.
Do I just move it here? All right, it's fun to be here in a place where people know how to pronounce my last name. So CVs, we've been here for many generations. It's great to have my mother and grandmother here. And 12 years ago, when I graduated from college, my grandma was really upset at me because I wasn't wearing lipstick. So I'm wearing lipstick today for this. This is for you, Grandma. So. But yeah, it's fun to return here. I live up in Utah Valley, but it's really fun to be here among people I grew up with and great coworkers from the past. So yeah, I just want to share with you my journey as a social entrepreneur, meaning working on businesses that our goal is not just a bottom line, but to do social good while we're doing that. And it's been a long road, and I've learned a lot, and I hope some of those principles can apply to you as well in your businesses. So let's see if this works. Okay, so I graduated from Dixie State many moons ago. 14 years ago? Yeah, when I was 12 years old, obviously. And then I did an associate's here, went up to BYU, and graduated from BYU with a degree in special education, taught special ed up in Provo at Centennial Middle School, returned to BYU and did a master's in public health. This is just so you kind of get where I'm coming from. During that time, did an internship in China, which was kind of my first experience implementing a project abroad, working on a health program in a special needs orphanage. After graduating, I went as a program director for a nonprofit based out of Provo called Help International, where I was overseeing college students in Uganda for the summer that were doing internships there. Just after that, I came and worked at the Southwest Utah Public Health Department with, many of you must know, Paulette. Paulette Valentine. She's amazing and was a great, amazing person to work under, very inspiring. So it's so fun to see her here today. And after that, kind of got the itch to go abroad again. And so spent about 6 months in India. Much of that time I was working with an organization called Lepra that works with populations affected by leprosy. And that was amazing and eye-opening in so many ways. And then this is what I've been doing since then, and simultaneously a lot of different things. And so often, like from social media, people will be like, your life is so cool because you're going abroad and doing all these things, but I'm like, I don't like Instagram about my like daily, like I'm 90% of the time I'm responding to emails on my computer, right? And running ragged because our nonprofit is not making enough money to pay our US staff, et cetera. So I hope to show you kind of the real story behind how this is and what our journey's been. So yeah, I as was kind of mentioned, so Musana, I'm going to talk to you about Musana and Fairkind. I've been working on and off at BYU and UVU as an adjunct instructor, teach children's dance. For a while there, I was running dogs for money, and it was like to pay for groceries. Like it was let's get real here. That's what was happening. But to get paid to go running is not a bad thing. And then I just recently finished a program at University of Pennsylvania on social impact strategy. So, my path several years ago set out on this path of starting a nonprofit. And, setting off on that, it seemed like this exciting, journey ahead of us, this beautiful path before us. And the reality is that most often it's felt more like this, where our path has kind of come to abrupt edges where we've been like, whoa, what do we do now? Things are not working as easily as we thought. How the journey started, as I mentioned, in 2009, was in Uganda. And while there, got to know many of the women in the local community. And one of these women that I got to know was named Eve. And her situation, she's a single mother. She was engaged in sporadic pickup work. Her children were in poor health. She had no money for school fees for her children. And at the time, she was living in her pastor's garage. And this is not an atypical situation for a woman in the developing world. So coming to know this situation where so many women have the economic burden for the home, and yet there is very little work for women, that very naturally leads to a poverty situation. So thinking about this situation that exists on that side of the world, then we paired that with thinking about situations that exist here in the Western world. We live in an interesting time where ethical consumerism is on the rise. People are wondering, where are my products coming from? Were they fairly made? Were these made by slave labor in a factory somewhere? People are, wondering, much more conscious. In addition, people are looking for unique fashion. So we don't want just a conveyor belt, something that everybody else has, and people are looking for a meaningful contribution to the world's problems. More than ever before in the world's history, because of the internet, we are interconnected to our world and understanding the deep issues that are going on and that have always been going on. We just didn't know about them as intimately. And so understanding that situation, paired with this situation, we found a solution in starting this organization called Musana. So Musana, that formatting's all weird, but our mission is to provide stable employment and education for women in the developing world, and particularly in Uganda. So we work in a small community in Uganda, and that's where we have our workshop, where women come to work every day and make their jewelry and are paid a fair wage, many of them 2 or 3 times what they were making before. And how this works, let's see, there we go, is our artisans are trained in making jewelry, and then that is sold on the U.S. market. And the profits return to provide classes in business, literacy, and health. But the biggest deal is that they're getting a stable income. More than anything, that's the core of what we're doing. And just recently, this has been our vision from the beginning, which was 7 years ago. We wanted to allow women to come to a point where they could start dreaming and starting their own businesses. Many of them didn't set out to be an artisan, but this has provided income for them. So providing them opportunity to start their own businesses. So we loaned out 4 micro loans this year. So 4 of our artisans have started side businesses. So they work at Musana full-time during the day, but then many of them are now involving their husbands, who were very often not involved in economically providing for the family, which is again a very common situation. So now the husbands are involved in this family business while they still have a stable income at Musana. Our goal is that eventually they will be able to, their businesses will grow to a point where they can graduate from Musana and be able to run their businesses full time, leaving a space for other women to come into the program. And so that's just been happening this year, which has been very exciting. And they're small businesses, very local, contextual businesses. One's growing ground nuts that are like peanuts. but is employing on the days that they harvest about 30 men in the community. So that's a big deal. One is growing trees that in about 5 years, she'll be able to get back about 10 times what she put into the seeds, and a couple others. So that's kind of the model that we're working off of. In 2009, we started with 7 artisans, and we started in an interesting way. These were women that were not jewelry makers, which was a hard way to start, but these were just women that we knew were in pretty dire situations. But they've become very talented artisans. We now, in 2016, we have 21 artisans supporting 108 children, and not pictured here we have 40 part-time artisans that come and do contract work for us when we have large orders. So that's been really excited to see that expansion. Just some of the impact. I returned a couple years after we started to kind of see, okay, what's the effect here? What was changed, we saw this incredible rise in confidence. Women were able to speak English and therefore be able to interact in the business world. So English is a national language in Uganda, but if you haven't had an education, you don't speak it, and so you're cut off from many opportunities. Their children are all in school, and that's one of the really exciting things that we've seen. Most of their children were not in school, and so about 65 school-age children now are in school. That's part of our program that we provide. We do matching for school fees, so they pay the first half, we pay the second half. And so it's required that their children are in school, and that right there is going to break the cycle of poverty for this generation. And then having assets like better housing and cell phones, that's kind of a social marker that you can now communicate. However, we did see problems still remaining. We were seeing that they were not saving, and this was, not being kind of societally taught. You got to be saving each month. They're making 2 and 3 times what they were making before, but wanting to buy things that they never had. And so that was a big thing that we saw. We were still seeing, again, a rise in money, but then health was not on par with the money that they were making. Poor nutrition, poor sanitation, and poor health. Some of them were spending 30% of their income on health care for their families, which they weren't able to afford before. But we were saying, wait a minute, we've got to be able to prevent this so they can spend their money in more long-term sustainable ways. So I talked about our artisan businesses, and we do an English and literacy class, a very functional curricula that's for adults so that they can function in their environment, first learning numbers so that they can calculate and make sure they're not getting cheated on deals, and learning how to sign a check so that they can, open a bank account for the first time. And with health, we do interactive health lessons, and every quarter our artisans go out into the community and teach other women's groups the health lessons that they've been learning, and so this train the trainer model really helps them to solidify it and then the content, and then be able to share it with others. And we have a medical benefits program, so basically like health insurance, so that they can take care of medical problems that they weren't able to in the past. We've started a community library that's attached to our workshop, the first community library within like an hour radius, so that's been really exciting. I remember one time when we'd first opened, a couple years ago, I walked in there and there was a high school literature teacher that was sitting there reading Oliver Twist, and he was sitting on we have just these like ghetto sawdust-filled pillows for people to sit on, and he was sitting there, and I said, "Sir, how are you enjoying the book?" And he said, "I've heard about this book, and I've never been able to read it, and it is meeting my expectations." And I thought that was really beautiful. A couple of years ago, this was the first time that we'd hired on new artisans outside of the 7 original artisans. And so for the first time, they were going to be receiving a paycheck. Like I said, most women are doing daily pickup work, so just finding work that day to pay for dinner that night. So they'd been working for 2 weeks, and their paycheck came in the form of a brown envelope with their name on it with cash inside for their first 2 weeks of work. And so as we started handing these out, we started hearing hoops and hollers, and they were cheering, and as you can see, they were laughing, and it was really exciting. And they started chanting something, so I kind of joined in, and we were all chanting something together, and I was in the local language. And so I turned to someone, and I was like, "What are we saying?" And the line that they were saying, I think, is kind of at the core of what we're doing, and at the core of why these women work as hard as they do. They were saying, "Today, our children will drink milk." And that was a moment where I knew that we were starting to get at what we'd set out to do. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I give this presentation a lot. So I don't know what it is about you people, but this is, now you're all feeling warm fuzzies. Now I'm going to tell you some, and we're excited. We've had some really amazing things happen. But in reality, how the process has been over the past several years is that our Uganda program has been thriving. We've been able to make enough money from the sale of our jewelry to be able to support our Uganda program, pay our artisans well, our management. But the U.S. side struggles, and we're just on a shoestring, and that is the situation of nonprofits very often, but in kind of an extreme way, because we're like a startup nonprofit. And so this has been really draining, and we've been trying to think, how can we've realized that sustainability is not only sustaining that side of operations, but we need to sustain our office here. Like, we personally need to be able to not get burned out and to be able to live. And so we've been, so we kind of took a step back the last year. And it was interesting, even last December, we've had really amazing opportunities. Our jewelry was featured on the Today Show. They did a segment on gifts that give back. We had a huge spike in sales for a week that was more than we'd sold online the whole year. But even still, after that spike, it kind of went back to business as normal, and we're just, always like barely making it. So we've been we took a step back about a year ago and started thinking, what are the skills that we have? How can we scale what we're doing well and turn down what's not working? So I'm going to tell you about Fair Kind, made fairly for humankind. So thinking more broadly, like I said, we started very naively. I mean, we were living in a small community and knew that these women had a difficult time. I had never taken a business class before and didn't consider myself, I felt like I don't know anything about business. And I didn't think I was starting a business because I was starting a nonprofit that has a business model. So that was a problem from the get-go. So thinking broader about this situation of artisans in the developing world, so artisan craft is the second largest employer in the developing world behind agriculture, which is the largest employer. So somewhere around 500 million artisans or more. There's no way of counting, right? How many artisans are out there. But a common situation, and they're highly skilled. I mean, any of you that have traveled to a developing country have seen, you can find beautiful stuff on the market, very high level of skill. However, very often, these artisans lack market access, so they make a few things and then wait till they sell and try to do other things on the side and then make more things and hope that they sell, or tourist season, they do well. And they're sorely underpaid and very exploited very often by middlemen or exporters. And very often they're indebted for the raw materials, so they're like always in this cycle of indebtedness and never able to like really make it, even though they're doing beautiful stuff. So thinking, and this naturally leads to a poverty situation, which is unfortunate. Highly skilled, talented people in that situation. So now thinking of a problem that exists with U.S. companies, or a pain that exists, again, with this growing ethical consumerism and this more global idea of what's happening in our world, businesses are feeling a need to be doing good. Businesses that are doing well are kind of expected to be doing corporate social responsibility or social give back, and yet many do not have the the skills or the resources within their company to be able to do that effectively. So thinking about this problem, these two problems, we're not going to call them problems, we're going to call, let's think about a solution, is bridging artisans and the corporate world. And so that is kind of this idea that we've had businesses on and off approach us and say, hey, let's do a partnership, and we'll do these partnerships where we'll create custom jewelry for them, and be able to do a huge order of 500 pieces. Or 1,000, and it does more for us than our whole year of trying to push sales to individual customers. So our mission is to build the capacity of artisan groups around the world by facilitating their entrance into the global market. And so we're providing resources for artisan groups to be able to improve their quality to a Western standard, or even just their aesthetic to be something that we like in the Western world. And I do this all the time. I'll travel to a country and buy all this stuff that I'm like, I'm sure I'll wear this like really interesting embroidered thing from India, and then I come home and I never wear it. But when I was there, I totally thought it was going to be the coolest thing. So how can we contextualize things to make them that the Western market would want them, not just somebody that has a heart tie to that place because they traveled there. And then bridging companies to these artisan groups. And also, when we work with artisan groups, we also want to still be investing in the community. And so as businesses work with us, in addition to buying these products, they can also be able to fund a project in the community. So artisans, we're looking for specifically artisans in developing economies that already, so like I said, with our group in Uganda, they were not artisans to begin with. Now the model that we're doing is we're looking for artisans that already have a highly developed skill, but are lacking that market access. So these are the three places that we are starting with: Rwanda, Uganda, and Guatemala. Some of our products, you can see, we're really trying to hone in on what's something that a business would want as swag or corporate gifting or a limited time offer that they can offer their customers. And so we've moved from kind of the nonprofit with earned income. We've moved now with this Fair Kind model to a for-profit with social impact. And we feel in that way, I don't know if there's any nonprofit people here, but it's tough, and it's people are becoming kind of less trustful of nonprofits and kind of like, what are you guys doing? And sometimes I too am like, what are you guys doing? What are we doing? I think sometimes we're less effective because people are paid low, and so those with really great talent leave after a while, and so it's really hard to be able to be really effective when you're running on such a shoestring. So we're really feeling like this is a direction that we want to move, that we can harness the market, harness the market to be able to do social good. So kind of how this works, Fair Kind, this organization, is the umbrella company. Musana is one of our artisan groups, but now we're working with artisan groups, and we have some interesting partnerships that we're starting to get going. And what's interesting, so this was just yesterday, November 1st. We've had this e-commerce website that makes us look way bigger than we are. It looks like a very professional website because we've had a lot of people that have done a lot of awesome pro bono work and models and everything. So we look like a big deal, but then people come to our office and it's two of us running it, and we're like, welcome behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. It's just us. Online you can look like anything, right? So we launched a blowout sell, and we're going to close down our e-commerce website and just be doing these large orders. And some of my original co-founders with me have been sending me legitimate hate texts the last 24 hours because of this. But luckily, I've been in this long enough to know that we can't keep banging our head against the same wall and expect different results, because that's the definition of insanity, right? And so we have tried to cut out a place for ourselves in the market as a fashion brand, and there's too many others in the space. We found this niche that is really working, and so I'm like feel so okay with like putting up with a lot of pushback from some of the founders that are having a hard time with the baby growing up. So, so yeah, we're doing a huge blowout sale, and it's really exciting. We're going to clear out our inventory and just do customized work for companies. So our ideal customer is medium-sized businesses that are interested in creating visible social give back. So, you know, a lot of businesses are supporting a project abroad or, you know, giving back in the community. Well, this is kind of a different take where they can have a product that communicates, that's a tangible way of showing that they care about the world. And so that's kind of our unique aspect that we're giving. This is something that's really amazing that happened this year. And it's like amazing that they trusted us to do it. We knew we could do it, but I don't know how they like trusted us to know we could do it. So we started, we got into talks with doTERRA earlier this year. Many of you may be familiar with doTERRA. They do essential oils. They're like the biggest player in the space, based up in northern Utah. And they approached us and said, hey, we just started working with some basket weavers in Rwanda, and they said, hey, do you guys do baskets? And we're like, yeah, let's talk. We were working with about 100, a group that's already established there with 100 artisans that needed that market access. And so they said, and we'd like to create these small baskets that can fit one oil, and they just went on sale yesterday. Anyways, they ordered 48,000 baskets. So when they so if you can imagine, when they told us that number, we were like, you guys do not, like, clearly you have not worked with handmade before. That's crazy. These take 1 to 2 days to make. And we have 100 artisans, like, and they wanted them for their Christmas, which went live yesterday. By the way, apparently, I don't know the current situation, but it crashed their website. So that was good. I mean, it was like all their Christmas items, but apparently everything went on sale at midnight and it crashed and people were like super mad. So hopefully that's got fixed. But we were able, so the day that doTERRA closed the deal with us and said, we've got all of our executive signatures, we got our flights and headed out to Rwanda a few days later. We'd been in communication with our partners there, and they said, yeah, like we said, are there more artisans than, like, are there enough groups that could fulfill us? And they said, yeah, they're all over the country and they're needing work. So we went out, with a one-way ticket. We thought we could spend all summer there. It ended up being a lot easier than we thought. There were these cooperatives throughout rural areas that could do high-quality work, fulfill very well, had leadership. We connected in with them, and what was really amazing is we would sometimes sit with these artisan groups, and we had a spec sheet of exactly what we wanted, and they'd say, okay, once they understood what the order was, they said, we'll charge you this much for each basket. And then we had done the math to know what a fair pay would be, like what they needed to make, if these are going to take 1 to 2 days, what they should make to be able to feed their families, to send their kids to school. And so they'd say, well, okay, yeah, we'll charge you this much per basket. And we'd be like, no, that is way too low. And they would just laugh, and we're like, okay, whatever, as we bartered up. So that was really fun. So the story of the Peace Basket is, anyways, we were able to get about 1,500 women working on this order throughout Rwanda. And the story that comes with this, that doTERRA is now telling, is that after the genocide, if any of you are familiar with the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, over 1 million people were slaughtered over the course of 100 days, and it was a dispute between two ethnicities. And after the genocide, women from the two tribes, the Hutu and Tutsi tribes, came together, and they would sit in groups and weave baskets as they kind of process through what just happened and how they can make amends to never let this happen again. And so these baskets have traditionally been part of Rwandan culture for hundreds of years, but these, and they're the agaseke basket, especially these pointy top type that I showed you, but these now are called the Peace Basket because, and they're national symbol. They're on their dollar, and it's this symbol of them coming together. And so doTERRA's put their peace blend oil inside of these, and it's on the cover of their Christmas catalog. And each basket, we totally private labeled it. So each basket comes with a tag that says, this was handmade in Rwanda for doTERRA by, and the woman signs her name. So we don't do any like labeling for our own stuff. This is like, we give it all to them, and then we gave them photos and video that they've used to promote their cause. And so we're able to give them a cause. And in addition, they, with the part of this is that this order funded literacy in 2 of the villages where our artisans work that had very, very low literacy rates, so a year-long program. So it's kind of packaged into this whole story that they have to tell. So in the pipeline, we've got a company that's wanting like corporate excursion gifts, like they're going on a cruise for all these CEOs and they want like a cool bag that tells a story and ties in with where they're going to be going on this cruise. Giveaway swag, so we're really working on products like we have these notebooks that are made from tree bark that we can put a company's logo on them so they can have, and then it has a story, but it's a really unique product. And then these baskets, we're connecting with some gifting companies that like put together gift baskets, and so they can have this really cool gift basket to put the stuff in. Our models for scale, we're looking right now. We're just really focusing on corporate client acquisition. In the future, we may launch online again to individual customers, but for now we're just totally going with corporate partnerships, and then looking into new markets in the future, getting into some big department stores that we know do care about doing social good. So our path has been all over the place, not quite the like country road that we set out to, but God bless the broken road, right? But just some to wrap up, some lessons learned that I hope can be applicable to many of us here in this room, is what we really like, this huge pivot that we've taken this last year. We've zeroed in on what is our unique genius, and that is working with artisans abroad, and just thinking, how can we scale that? How could we really hone in on that, and make that bigger? Secondly is pivoting. For the longest while, we were just kind of still trying to like scrape our way through, again, doing what wasn't working, and so just we've finally come to this place, and it kind of took restructuring our board to where there are people that are, not trying to keep the baby how it was letting the baby walk. And then so we can be nimble and really be able to think like a business. And we've had incredible mentors that have come in, and it's fun being a woman in business in Utah, because in particular, I feel like we've received so much support as people are like, you go girl, and have been really helpful in helping us learn to think like a business. And lastly, something that I do hope that everybody comes away with this is that no matter what your business is, you can do well by doing good. Your customers care about knowing that you are giving back to the community, just like what InfoWest did, whether it's contributing here to the chamber or whatever that is. But when you're doing well, you should be doing good. And by doing good, you can do more well, I believe. I really believe that and I've talked with I was recently in a meeting with some CEOs, and they were like, millennials, I don't know what motivates them. Like, they're so much of my workforce, and like, they're not motivated by the traditional things that people are motivated by. They're not motivated by money as much as previous groups have been. They're not motivated by promotion or titles. So they're like, I don't know what motivates them. What motivates them is having a why in your business. When you have a strong why, they will work long hours for you. They will work hard for you. And I would say, likewise, your customers that are in that segment, and it's not just that segment that many people are frustrated with. I think all of us are more aware and wanting to do more we know that we're in a prosperous land, and we have so much opportunity. We're in such a land of opportunity, and all of you here, obviously, you're doing well. You're part of the chamber, and so we have an obligation. So not just to make ourselves look good, but we can do good through our businesses. And I just challenge you to think creatively about how you can incorporate a deeper why in your business that can help both your employees and your customers to know that that you do care about that it is more about the bottom line. And I appreciate speaking with you today. So much of what I've been able to build came from my roots here in St. George, and I appreciate it. I'm now seeing some faces here of people that have supported me along the way. So, this is kind of the journey our rocky journey, but it's been so interesting for me personally, and it's exciting to see where we're going. So, thank you for having me.
Really, thank you, Melissa. Amazing work. My husband and I, a few years back, went on a mission to Rwanda. We saw firsthand what this does for women, for families, for children. It's just amazing. And that's why you cry. I don't know where here. That's why you cry, because your heart gets broken when you go over there. So appreciate all the work. Not only that, she's taken it a step beyond from the time when I was there. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't get all the back-end stuff that they're doing for women to make sure that they sustain and pass it on. And it's just really great work. So we're really thankful. Give her another round of applause. I have something for Melissa.
Whoa, that's so cool.
So since she's doing an Iron Man, or Iron Woman, I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, this will be the last one. Greg MacArthur has made these over the years that he's been with the Chamber. He makes them himself. This is his legacy, and this will go today with Melissa.
Oh my
Thank you
gosh,
very
that's
much.
So sweet. This is awesome.
And it's also very good.